Sweet home Dieter. Guten Tag, me, wie geht's denn? What Dieter? Ich bin Dieter. What could be better than Sunday morning coffee with Dieter? Well, I can think of quite a few things that would be better. But anyway, if you're in that unhappy state, well, let Dieter try and cheer you up. So here's our captive audience. Get some shaggy hair and get a Yamaha classical guitar. That's what she has. I think that's a Yamaha logo there. And she doesn't have those killer cat claw nails. So Dieter was realizing some things the other day, and he's done a few videos with his Larrabee LVO3, and he realized, see, this is what happens when you get old and senile. When you have 28 guitars, and I just say that because it's just a number, but it's not to brag about my collection, because I guess I call myself at this stage of my life a combination of collector and player. But what I was getting at is, I said I'll feel bad that this is neglected now. There's reasoning for that, and this is when the trouble when you do things off the cuff. You remember things, so I said, oh, maybe I should have said that, right? So I play this a lot, so it's not a neglected guitar. But I realized I probably played it the most. This is the guitar I played the most a few years ago when I was gigging quite a bit. But then I realized, well, wait a minute. I play a lot of different kinds of music. And so when I was knocking this, for me, like what I was getting at was if I only had one guitar, I wouldn't have this guitar because I would have a wider nut. And if I only had one guitar, I should have said that. I should have clarified that. But I have more than one guitar, so this is really, really fine. So what I realized was, when I gigged, I usually took a minimum of two, but I usually took three guitars. I usually took one of my multi-acts with a 2-inch wide nut, a nylon string, and I would do my softer, more classical and ballad type stuffs on that. And then I have and if I have those three guitars here, I'll pull them out later and do a video showing exactly what I mean by that. And then I had a Simon and Patrick Folk that had silk and steel strings on it, which I used for a more country-ish type stuff. And this is the one I used. I call it my Canon, my sonic Canon, because this is the one I used when I, played my, Eagles type stuff and rock type stuff. I very rarely gigged with an electric guitar unless I was using my synth. But yeah, so I had it set up for that, and I have it set up with slightly heavier gauge strings. So I realized that Larrabee's thinking when he made this guitar was he wanted a dreadnought that guys that were used to playing electrics could play easier. So when I put my mindset into that, like, oh yeah, this is like an electric guitar, then I seem to be able to finger pick it better. So I think it's a psychological thing, because the neck feels like an electric neck. So it's kind of an odd feeling to get used to at first with this particular model. I don't know if they still make a model like this, but 1/11/16 nut, but a narrow, really nice, fast neck. It feels like a good electric neck. It feels like the neck on my Godin electrics. I think another reason why I like it, but I think I'm getting mentally confused. I'm going, wow, this is like an electric guitar. And I usually don't play fingerstyle on my electric guitar, so I think I'm psyching myself out. So if that makes any sense to you, that's what I think I'm doing. So. so there, I think that's what's going on. And yeah, I went to the local guitar shop the other day, and this was great. So there's a nice young black man there, and I want to sing that because I usually can guess the ages of people, but with black people I find it difficult. So I couldn't tell if this guy was in his late 20s or early 40s. But he was playing really, really well, and both me and the owner, who plays quite well, we just really enjoy this guy's playing. He was trying out a used Japanese Squire Strat. And man, he was good. So we just listened and talked, listened to him play basically for an hour through this tube amp. And I said, man, you're really good. How long you been playing? And he said, well, I've only been playing since COVID. I went, whoa, geez, it sounds like you've been playing all your life. And I looked at Mark and I said, doesn't it? He said, yeah. I said, you would have told me you started as a kid, I would have believed you. And so I started asking him questions. So how I got into it. So it turns out he's from a musical family. I asked him where he's from because he spoke really good English. And I'm always amazed when people speak really good English. So he didn't have an accent, so he almost sounded like mid-Atlantic, they call it, in acting, right? So I didn't know if he was a well-brought-up American or a British person, but he said he had been born here. But his parents were musically inclined. His dad plays guitar and stuff. So he took piano lessons when he was a kid. And he played saxophone in the school band. So I said, but he said he dabbled with guitar because there were guitars around the house, but he said never really got serious into it till COVID. So I said, so curious, how did you learn? Because you didn't have a teacher, right? So I said, what did you get? This is what I asked him. What kind of stuff did you get off the internet? And he says, well, my advantage was I could read music. So I said, I found the internet overwhelming. He said, there's so much contradictory and bad information out there, right? People say, oh, you don't have to do the pentatonic scale. You don't have to do scales. You don't have to, learn how to read music. You can only use the cage system or whatever. Like I know about the cage system. It's if that speaks to you, that's fine. So I said, well, you play really well. So what did you decide to do? He said, well, when I could, he says, I tried out guitars firsthand, and he's very much closes his eyes and feels them out and stuff. He's not swayed by brand names at all. He has 3 nice guitars, and he was looking on getting this one. And he said, I see, Dita loses his train of thought, especially when he first wakes up. But he said, yeah. So he said. He got a few good books. That's what he did. He got a few good books, and he just watched and listened to the music he liked. And he said he got very little off the internet. So he said, yeah, it's just practice, and that's what I've been saying all along. Like I know I'd be a lot better player if I practiced more. So I'm at the stage in my life where I'm not concerned about playing in bands anymore or getting a recording contract or stuff. I just basically play for myself and my dog right now, really. And so I guess what I was getting at, if you're in a position like me or him, where you have the luxury of having 3 or 4 or more guitars. See, I forget because it's been a while since I used this with gigs, but I use this all the time and I loved it. So there's absolutely nothing wrong with it. So I'm kind of backtracking a bit on what I said. I guess what I meant to say when I was doing my saying, hey dude, why aren't you playing that good guitar you done got, is because if I only had one guitar, if I only had one steel string guitar, this would be perfect. The Cutaway, this guitar would be perfect for me, for my big hands, if it had a wider neck. That's what I was talking about. So I'm not going to get rid of it, and I'm going to spend the week getting reacquainted with which to my ear plugged in to my ear with this good Element LR Bags thing, and I'll do when I get my 2 gigging guitars out, I'll do a comparison for you. Just plugged in, good to go with a 9-volt battery for backup. If I'm playing steel string stuff, this is my go-to stage guitar. It's not. I don't think it's better than my Boucher or my Breedlove. It's just different, and that's why I say, if you can get to the point where you can afford more than one nice guitar, but you're better for you. Real rich, real well-off people are really good players that have $30,000 guitars. Those things are amazing. But I will tell you because I've done it. I've played a Pellegrin, which is beautiful, which is a $14,000 guitar, but it didn't sound really any better than the $7,000 Boucher I played, or the $5,000 Boucher I played, or the five. There was another $4,000 guitar there. I think it was Yari. They all sounded, if you closed your eyes and someone said, these are all $50,000 guitars, you would say, yeah. And so if you closed your eyes and someone said, these are all $10,000 guitars, you'd say, yeah. And if you closed your eyes and said, this is all $5,000 guitar, you'd say, yeah. So a lot of times that's bragging rights, or, you're supporting someone who's a fine craftsman or an artist and is only making a few a year. That's fine. But I say bullshit if people say that they're miles apart in sound and even in playability nowadays. That's Dude's opinion. He likes to give his opinion. So happy plucking, and yeah. When my roommate goes away, I can crank this up. I'll show you the true definition of a canon, because this is a canon. Happy plucking. Wiedersehen.